momentous moment, not only for that region, but for everyone watching around the world, a moment of relief. The president is just about to attend a peace summit in Egypt, and we will take you there live as soon as that begins. Meanwhile, you've been watching those emotional scenes playing out in real time in Israel as those families finally reunite with their loved ones. And those hostages freed after an agonizing 738 days in captivity, Dana.
It's been a whirlwind day for President Trump. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu greeted him at the airport, and then he met with families of hostages, and they thanked President Trump for bringing their loved ones home and striking a deal that many thought was impossible.
We're taking a live look now at Freed Square in Tel Aviv, where thousands are celebrating this day. They're watching the president's speech to the Israeli Knesset, the legislature there, and lawmakers gave him a very warm welcome.
The president addressed the Knesset, and he said this was not just a new beginning for Israel, but for the entire region.
After 2 harrowing years in darkness and captivity, 20 courageous hostages are returning to the glorious embrace of their families, and it is glorious. 28 more precious loved ones are coming home at last to rest in this sacred soil for all of time. And after so many years of unceasing war and endless danger, today the skies are calm, the guns are silent, the sirens are still, and the sun rises on a holy land that is finally at peace, a land and a region that will live, God willing, in peace for all eternity. This is not only the end of a war, this is the end of an age of terror and death, and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God. It's the start of a grand concord and lasting harmony for Israel and all the nations of what will soon be a truly magnificent region. I believe that so strongly. This is the historic dawn of a new Middle East. I want to express my gratitude to a man of exceptional courage and patriotism, whose partnership did so much to make this momentous day possible. You know who I'm talking about. There's only one, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
You know what? It is a very bad day for everybody who called Trump Hitler. Really rough day for those people. It is going to be a down bad day for libs, even CNN having to eat their words live inside of Israel as the president of peace, the great peacemaker Donald Trump, has thusly ended the war in the Middle East, something that I guess nobody thought possible for any president during any era. And now it has happened, and it happened live, and it's happening live right now as President Trump is set to land in Egypt. President Trump was just in Israel. I think this is perhaps a more interesting part of President Trump's visit. He will be in Egypt with dozens of Arab leaders who are there to greet him, and we all know how that goes, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a wild and raucous good time. We are going to see perhaps the camel motorcade. Do you remember the camelcade? The fondest memories that I have on this program, some of them have to do with the camelcade. Boys, camelcade. Yeah, that's right. The entire production chat is now ravenously hunting for more camelcade. There was a camel motorcade that Donald Trump was part of. We're going to bring it all to you. President Trump is set to land in Egypt at any second. We'll cover it all live. He will be meeting leaders in Egypt, Muslim leaders, to talk about the peace summit after a speech in Israel's Knesset. This would be Israel's House of Governance. It is a wonderful day because we do not want war. We want peace. We do not want hostages, terror, or horrors to become for any peoples. We want the end, of course, to the circumstances that could spark and ignite and create an environment where American troops have to be deployed once more to the godforsaken sandbox. These are the kind of regional conflicts that have marred my entire young life. Every single decade, every single year, there is a new American forever war, seemingly, that is the rule of my upbringing. Whether it's Desert Storm, whether it's Afghanistan, whether it's Iraq. And we're sick of it as a people. And so bringing peace to these conflicts is a wonderful and glorious thing. And also there have been 20 hostages. Now Hamas holds 0 hostages for the first time in years. It's a very, very good thing, ladies and gentlemen. Steve Hilton and Pastor Doug Wilson will be joining the program today. And we're going to have a very, very interesting one, again, as President Trump is about to land in Egypt. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. As you saw in our cold open, the meme of President Trump's golden Boeing 747, all the golden skulls. Ladies and gentlemen, I think there's going to be quite a bit of gold, perhaps, President Trump in Egypt today. I'm not exactly sure what the Egyptian palaces that Donald Trump will be in today, what they will look like, but I can tell you what was kept in the pyramids, obviously. Gold, physical gold, precious metals, because, well, they've held their value throughout all time. And, well, if you were invested in gold, it didn't matter that the crypto markets crashed on Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, people that were holding precious metals did just grand. All right? You can go ahead and look at the charts. Just believe me when I say that this is an asset class that you should be investing in. I invest in it. And my friends at Advantage Gold can set you up. The 2025 Gold and Silver Report that can show you exactly how you can get invested in gold today. Advantage Gold is offering up to $10,000 in free silver with a qualifying purchase. Real silver that can hold in your hands. I have physical precious metals in my portfolio. You can text Benny to 85545 right now and get your free 2025 Gold and Silver Report. Text Benny to 85545. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity awaits you. Message and data rates do apply. Performances vary. Consult your financial professionals. Advantage Gold, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So President Trump has declared an end of terror and death to raucous applause. Now, ALX, speaking of terror and death, I guess, this is the first time live since we had our own little press conference about the terror against my family. So ALX, we have to talk about this, right? We can't just we sort of left people on a cliffhanger on Friday. Then I went to go see Pam Bondi and we did a press conference about an individual. Why don't you grab the filing, ALX? The individual who's threatening my family and, well, now in prison. George Isabel is his name. He sent a letter to my home saying that I was going to die just like Charlie Kirk in an open field with blood gushing from my head and neck. I just want to do a massive shout out to the administration for taking these kind of threats seriously. We are a show of peace. We are going to celebrate Donald Trump today for bringing peace. I do not want pain or suffering for anyone in this country. I want to resolve our differences peacefully. I want to be able to debate. I don't want any harm to befall anyone. I prayed this past Sunday for Joe Biden, who's undergoing some pretty rough chemotherapy right now for his terminal cancer. It's the difference between us and the animals. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the animals. This is the federal filing that was brought on behalf of my family when an individual who does not seem like a good hombre, let's just say, George Russell Isabel Jr., has been charged with threatening communications under 18 U.S. Code 876C. This could potentially land him 10 years in prison. And the reason why I wanted to sort of be out front and front-facing on all of this is that it shouldn't happen to anyone. It's hard enough to raise your kids. Man, it's hard enough to be a parent and have 4 little kids. Like, that is tough, man. It's the toughest thing you'll ever do. It's the most rewarding thing you'll ever do, but that's just the way it works, right? You can't have all reward and no struggle through it, right? And so, dude, you shouldn't be having to raise your kids under terroristic threatening. There's a lot of families that this applies to. I don't care if you're just like somebody who works at the gas station down the road and somebody wants to send you a mean letter, or if you are President Trump and his family. These kind of things obviously need to be taken seriously, and you have to make examples of people. So here's us and Pam Bondi. Last Friday, we obviously cut the show, headed right over to the district attorney's office here in Tampa, and we did a press conference. And we were able to sort of describe how I want this cycle of violence to end. And I don't really care. Everyone attacked me for talking about how this is a cycle of violence, whether it's putting bullets through, I'm tired of watching my president get shot by left-wing extremists, by watching my friends get shot by left-wing extremists, Charlie Kirk, by watching children get killed praying in churches in Minneapolis, watching federal law enforcement facilities, the ICE facility in Dallas, get shot up. Like, I'm tired of that. And they're all left-wing radicals, and the bullets are only coming from one side. And so, at some point you have to have the balls to just straight up say it. And that's what I do. And that's what I did. And, everyone came for me. I don't care. This problem's on your side. And if you don't think that it's if you want to call it extremists and you want to write it off, well, the extremists have gone mainstream in the Democrat Party. You might call it extreme, but I call it mainstream because the Democrat Party is trying to elect somebody in Virginia right now that did exactly what this dude is charged with doing, arrested, charged, and being held in federal prison for doing to my family. Jay Jones is his name. And he wrote Republicans saying that he wants to kill him. Please put up the photo, Klein. Saying he wants to kill him. And he wants to kill their children. And so, Democrats can't run away from this issue. These are my kids. These are my 3 of my 4 precious children. This was me right after the press conference. And I come home, and this is what I come home to every single day. And I just don't get these monsters. Why do they do this? Why do they orphan Charlie's children? Widow his wife. We're going to be at Charlie Kirk's. We're going to be doing the show from D.C. tomorrow. We'll be at Charlie Kirk's memorial service at the White House, and his Medal of Freedom. Charlie Kirk will be getting posthumously the Medal of Freedom from President Trump tomorrow. We'll be there. We very much look forward to that and bringing you plenty of content. Also, a big announcement that the show tomorrow, we will have Eric Trump on the program tomorrow. We're going to be talking about all this. Again, this is my wife, Pam Bondi. And this is us right after the announcement that they've charged this individual. Like, where do we draw the line? Democrats, millions of Democrats are set to vote for a dude. Here's the text messages that prove it. A dude that is straight up saying that Republican children are little fascists and they all deserve to die. This dude is running for the top law enforcement office in Virginia. We are the party of peace. And so it was, I just wanted to use it as an opportunity to throw down and say, no, like, we're not going to allow you to threaten our children anymore. My innocent children are not little fascists. My innocent, beautiful children do not deserve to die. And yes, your ass is going to prison. So, like, don't threaten kids, dude. Right? And we want to make examples of people so that doesn't happen anymore. Anyway, that's what we had. We had a very tight show on Friday. Then we left to head on over, obviously, to do that. And we're thankful for all of your prayers. And we've gotten like an enormous amount of outreach. I know I'm not the only person that gets death threats. I know that this is a common thing. It shouldn't be a common thing. And the way to make it not a common thing is actually take action on some of them. So there it is. I do want to put up one final thing that I thought was fascinating, kind of telling on themselves here. NBC News. NBC News wrote an article about this circumstance using, you guys, if you watch the stream, if you watch the stream, you know that I'm like constantly smiling. I'm not a particularly like angry, rage-filled person. I'd rather laugh than cry on the stream. I don't cry on the stream. I don't like cry ever, except for at the birth of my children. But I'd rather laugh at a meme or like howl with laughter as we do meme reviews with our guests and everything. And we just did that. It was like so funny. Sombrero hats and everything. We start the show. I don't know where the hell this photo's even from. Like, where do they even find this? Where do they even find this? But anyway, NBC wrote up like, I deserve it. This is like NBC's angle on this is Benny deserves it. Why? Well, so the left-wing terrorist that threatened to kill my family by NBC News is called A Man. You can see here in the headline. Federal authorities charge A Man with sending threatening letter to conservative influencer who has deep ties to the Trump administration. Look at how they describe me. The signal here, what they're signaling to their left-wing audience is I deserved it. That's their signaling. Friends with Charlie, close with Trump. That's what the signal is here. Isn't that amazing how they write this stuff up? Look at the photo. Virtually every photo, I'm just grinning. I have this. Look at that. Goodness. Do I have COVID there? I don't know. I'm a little bit sick right now. But like I have this eating grin, right? Like I'm just I'm just a happy guy. Yeah, it's like it's like we'd rather laugh and joke on the show. So I don't know where the hell they even found this. Where's this photo even from? But anyway, they searched forever to make it look like I'm the bad guy. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Killer Klein says, I have the most punchable smile in the industry. Yes, fine. I'm happy to own it. That's right. We're going to go do just a little announcement here. We're going to go do some UFC training. We're going to do UFC training next week with the guy named Bo Nickel, and he's going to actually kick my ass. So that's going to be on the 21st. So I don't know if we'll be able to do that live. I don't know. I still have to talk with the team about it. Just too many amazing opportunities are coming up these days. We're going to go and we're going to train with a UFC fighter for his big fight in Madison Square Garden. He's a cool dude named Bo Nickel. And he's going to just kick my ass live on the stream. So you'll be able to see my very punchable face get punched live on stream. So you enjoy that? I'm sure NBC News will be watching. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, it's been an interesting couple of days. Goodness gracious. Back to peace. I want peace. Here we go. Here's a live shot of what looks like a freaking awesome event. I mean, that's not AI, is it? What the hell is that? What is this? This is the live shot of what President Trump's going to do. I mean, is he going to like shoot a flaming arrow at the top and then light it like the Olympics. I don't know. It's got some really cool. What is this, guys? It's awesome. This is the live shot of President Trump, soon to be landing in, or just landed in Egypt. Do we have anything? Do we have any shots of Air Force One, guys? Yet President Trump hasn't spoken or done anything. We just have this, whatever this is. Yeah, yeah. So Air Force One just landed. Okay, got it. But this is the stream, so we don't have Air Force One. We don't have a shot of Air Force One yet. So I guess we'll see. Is that a windmill? Ah, there we go. Nice. She's got multiple. You got Air Force One. We got Mini-Me there. Here's President Trump rolling. They see me rolling. They hating, patrolling. Gonna catch me bringing peace to the Middle East. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't release the album. I've never claimed to have any musical talent or capacity. I don't. I'm not gifted at that at all. It's embarrassing. Don't even want you to stand next, don't even like sit next to me at church. It's so embarrassing what I'm singing. But here we are. Here is Air Force One. Please repaint it. Please get rid of those periwinkle blues. That is such a baby color for Air Force One. Please repaint it, damn it. Please repaint Air Force One. You can see Air Force One taxiing here. President Trump has done a tour de force of the Middle East. Again, he's coming from Israel right now. This is a live shot. President Trump landing in Egypt. Got a very cool video here of Egyptian Air Force bringing in Air Force One. You can see here, you got the Egyptian Air Force shepherding in Air Force One. A couple of F-16s there, American F-16s, but owned by the Egyptian Air Force. Pretty cool. Flying in formation. And you got Donald Trump. Sweet. Great. Okay. Here comes Trump. What up? This is live. This is Trump. ALX is obsessed with the new Air Force One. So am I. I am sick of these blues. I am sick of this. ALX, please get like a photo of the new Air Force One with actual masculine colors. Yeah. The actual I'm so tired of this. Like I have two boys. One is 8 months old, and one is 2 years old. They have blue rooms, and they're like babies. But not even their baby rooms are as like periwinkle baby blue as that. Like I'm sick of it. Make it an actual, yeah, that's a good example. Make it so here, Klein, if you could load that up and show people the difference. Oh goodness, what's that? Yeah, okay. There you go. Wouldn't that be great? Isn't that what it should look like? Those are masculine colors for Air Force One. Stop it with this like Jimmy Carter lame ass baby ass blue. Nah. Yeah, make it masculine. Okay, now back to the live shot. Show the people the difference. Oh, okay. We just have a Mercedes. Okay, here's Trump. They don't have the staircase over there yet. Here comes the motorcade. I love these lives. It's so fun to like travel with the president. They get these for some reason, especially in like the Arab countries, they have like every conceivable camera angle on this stuff. So it's just great. They did this all the way through Qatar, right? In Saudi Arabia. It was fun because like they had like 50 different camera angles. You caught every second. It's great. So this is not going to be Trump's car, obviously. At least I don't think. Trump rides in the beast everywhere he goes, right? He rides an our vehicle, not a foreign vehicle. But here we go. Cars are pulling up. There you can see the military marching. It's always cool to see this kind of stuff. Pomp and circumstance. That's what they call it. Ladies and gentlemen, these kind of things, these kind of events cost you a pretty penny. If you find yourself spiraling into debt, if you can't afford a motorcade or a private jet, I'm with you. But there's a lot of horrible financial struggles right now in America. My friends at American Financing can help you take care of your financial troubles. The vast majority of Americans are simply suffering from credit card debt. Credit card debt is spiraling. It is a huge crisis in America. Horrible rates in the 20s and 30%. It's illegal, in my opinion. It's usury. But nonetheless, when wages are flat and prices keep climbing, it's hard to make ends meet. Get out of that high-interest credit card debt. It's just a real killer. It's like literal slavery. It's modern-day slavery. Call American Financing today at 888-528-1219. That's 888-528-1219. AmericanFinancing.net/Benny in order to make sure that you can get out of that high-interest credit card debt using your home equity to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, they can lock you in to the golden American dream that we are seeing right now, live on screen. All right. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, here comes Trump. You got even the dude open the door, man. They are cooking today. They're cooking. There's no like audio on this. It's just the white noise, right? Of the engines roaring. When there's audio, we'll cut in. Got the Egyptian military there. Will Trump go to is he going to give a speech from the pyramids? Please let that happen. Please let it happen. Is Trump, can Trump can Trump emerge out of the pyramids wearing one of the pharaoh hats? I think it was in the meme this morning. Look at him go. Here we go. Here comes Trump. Let's go, boy. Get rid of those colors on Air Force One, please. Hey, Alex, what's the status on that? When are they going to get rid of these colors? What's the status on these things? What are they going to do? They're going to repaint this 747. I'm going to get some like real colors on it. I'm sick of this baby blue. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, we are watching President Trump live right now, arriving in Egypt to meet with Arab leaders, bringing peace to the Middle East. President Trump just oversaw the liberation of 20 Israeli hostages. Hamas no longer has any hostages. President Trump delivering a remarkable speech this morning in the Knesset. We want to play you clips of that. Of course, we have it for the show, but this is live right now, and it's always really interesting to see. Let's pop on in. So you can see the Egyptian president will be waiting for Donald Trump. Nice, some dude just driving a Jeep. It's Egypt, you know? Probably part of a tour group. Donald Trump, please, I beg of you, do the speech from the actual pyramids. Do it in a pharaoh hat. Now back to this ridiculous sculpture. This horrible AI sculpture. Show us Trump! Anyway. I don't know why they cut to this. Just in case. Oh, yeah, please. Yeah, that's exactly right. Beautiful. All right. ALX saying as soon as February 2026, we could potentially get a new Air Force One. Sweet. ALX is saying he's too far from the pyramids. Well, dude, you don't know that. He could do it. You don't know it. Here's what we believe that President Trump could look like during his speech today. And this is a artist's rendering. This is according to the historic. This is according to historians. This is according to historians predicting what President Trump may look like today during his speech in Egypt. This came directly from the White House. These are some of Trump's top advisors working with historians to make sure that he has a 100% historically accurate speech today. And here's how President Trump's going to suit up. After freeing the Israelis, right? We're just playing the oldies. You know, like just let it. Why not? Just lean into history, okay? So Trump frees the Israelites. Pharaoh Trump frees the Israelites. Let it go. Call him Donald Tutt. Okay? Do it. Do it. Donald Tutt. He spends the morning freeing the Israelites, and now Pharaoh Donald conquering Egypt. Just play the Old Testament out. Just do it. That's what Trump's doing right now. He's playing out the Old Testament. Boys, do we have a shot of Trump's plane? Can we see Trump's? Do we got any? No, it's just this all over again. I think this is the proper opportunity to. Well, it looks like we're trying to find it. I just don't want to miss Trump, exiting the plane. It's always fun. Then, as Trump's traveling, we could pop in and out of some of the highlights from today. There he is. Yeah, just in time. Freaking great. This is awesome. Klein, do we have a good track to play? Yeah, play me some music. Let's go. Trump is your president. You got Trump as your president?
Future of MAGA is here.
This was the one time I was on a Trump track.
This is
Donald Trump is your president. 2024, we coming back. Joe Biden in the crowd.
Yeah, why not? They should actually. They should actually be blaring this. All right. I love it. Holds up. It holds up. Yeah, age is like fine wine. Age is like fine wine. So this is President Trump. Rolling with the Egyptian leadership. President, Prime Minister. Trump just chilling out. Got some of our squad there, obviously. We know Trump's cameraman. And they're pretty well. Good homie. Donald is rolling. And he's going to the motorcade. The president of peace, the most powerful man in the world. And somebody who has just delivered peace in the Middle East, now getting just flocked and mobbed here in Egypt. Everyone's sprinting to the cars, and there we go. And they're off. ALX, what do we expect from President Trump? He's going to be meeting with a bunch of Arab leaders, and he's going to be giving a speech. That's what we know. Donald Trump's going to be talking about peace in our time in the Middle East. So that's freaking cool. And we say, great job. We're excited about it. So now comes the motorcade. Will we get a camelcade? This, I do not know. I'm not sure. We do have... Okay, yeah, great. We do have an example of what the camelcade looked like. And let's just go ahead and watch him depart here before we play that, Klein. Looks Looks like everyone's loading up into the vehicles. They're moving. You can see Donald right there in the car with what I assume to be the Egyptian president. They're rolling. Trump fist pumping out of the window. You can see him. Look at him go. Look at Trump fist pumping. That's freaking awesome. Let's go. Dude just brought peace to the Middle East. Hostages are released. Uh-oh. It's their feed, not ours, of course. We'll see. Best production team on earth will make sure that we don't miss a moment and are locked in. There we go. Look at the tires on that thing. Holy smokes. It's just such a monster. I really want to ride in it one day. I do. We've been in a couple motorcades. It's been cool. But that is a tank. That is a physical tank. That thing can like withstand IED and nuclear blast. Like that is a real monster, the beast. It's really something else. Completely bulletproof. Weighs like 3 tons. One hell of a vehicle. There they go. And they're off. It's so cool. It's so much fun. You just nerded out. Like, it's just so cool to see. Let's stay on this for a little bit, guys. I freaking love, I love seeing these monster motorcades rolling through these Arab countries. It's really cool. They always do it up, and it's always like quite a scene. Look at that. It's interesting, right? It's like, what is that even? It's just such a monster procession. It shows just the absolute power, the absolute empire and power of this moment. Magnificent. Magnanimous. Majestic. Strong, strong, strong. For those of you who may have seen some of the news that there was an explosion in Egypt. It was really far away from, oh, look at that. Welcome to the land of peace, these billboards say. Look at that. Welcome to the land of peace. They got these massive billboards for Trump. Welcome to the land of peace. I love it. We pray for peace. We pray for peace. Together in peace. Something that we have been, obviously wanting on this program, something that we have been forthright in explaining our worldview on this. We know that this has been obviously an issue that has ripped the nations apart. The war in Gaza, we want it to simply end. We want it to end. Very strong opinions on both sides. We are anti-war. We're anti-war because we are America first, and because our founders warned us about entanglements in foreign wars. And so we say, please, we pray for peace. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are praying, well, the Hallow app can really ensure that, no, Klein, keep that up. No, I want to see it. Yeah, I want to see it. We can continue our prayers for President Trump as he rolls through. I just love seeing these motorcades. They're just so cool. I love the random Jeep in there. The dude in the random Jeep that was a part of the tour group. Just got roped in. We've been praying for peace, man. If you want to pray along with millions of other Christians for peace, which is what you should be praying for as a Christian. We are the religion of peace. Peace unto you, peace be with you, Christ says. And speaking of Jesus Christ, well, the man who played Jesus Christ quite famously in The Passion of the Christ, Jim Caviezel, starting just 2 weeks from now, the end of October. He is going to be leading a powerful new prayer series inside of the Hallow app. This is going to be based on a wonderful book by C.S. Lewis, Screwtape Letters. If you've never read it, Screwtape Letters imagines the correspondence between a senior demon and his young apprentice, and their job to lead Christians astray from God, with obvious temptations like busyness, pride, self-deception. Every day becomes a battlefield. It's brilliant. It's chilling. Ladies and gentlemen, it's read by Jim Caviezel, which is so awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, in today's society, there's so much to unmoor us from the simple and beautiful Christian principles that keep us centered. Don't let that cloud your mind. Get centered and make sure that you are praying every single day. Hallow is the #1 Christian prayer app in the world. It gives the tools to you as a Christian to fight back against evil. Download Hallow today and reclaim the power of prayer in your life. Get 3 months free with a subscription at hallow.com/Benny. For details, go to hallow, HALLOW.com/Benny. We pray for peace as we watch President Trump roll out. Is that what your roads look like, by the way? I'm always kind of amazed that these Arab countries have these like pristine and gorgeous, beautiful streets. And the streets in Tampa, Florida look like Mogadishu. Don't see any potholes in these streets. Amazing what that USAID money has done for some of the world's most third world backwaters. Some of the countries that hate us the very most. Yet our own country, we have some real infrastructure problems. But the infrastructure in these countries are incredible. Well done, USAID. Maybe we can help out Americans one of these days. Be awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're watching President Trump roll out through Egypt. Got some glitches here in the actual feed. But there was no glitching this morning as President Trump was doing God's work, truly, inside of the Knesset. This is, of course, the House of Government in Egypt. In Israel. President Trump is heading to the House of Government in Egypt right now, currently on your screen. President Trump receiving a standing ovation. Man, these are just cool shots, man. They're just cool shots. Looks really beautiful, actually. Look at this. You can see the motorcade there. This is President Trump's motorcade rolling through the Egyptian capital. President Trump, again, at the Knesset this morning. ALX, why don't you call out, like, where are we going to go with this one? I want some of President Trump's top line for his speech this morning that just received such applause from everyone, including Hillary Clinton. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. So where are we going here? Where are we going? Okay. Here we go. Some of the other scenes. Donald Trump traveling through Egypt. Hey boys, I want a Donald Trump Knesset speech clip, please. Get one of those locked and loaded, please. Maybe a supercut. Too short. Get me a supercut. Here's President Trump's arriving. President Trump's arrival here in Egypt. These are always so fun. It's hard to cut away, honestly. It's always so fun to watch. Neat to see. Guys, is Steve Hilton set? All right. I want to bring on Steve Hilton, the next governor of California. Steve Hilton has worked in foreign policy and has assisted in the arena of great international diplomacy. It's really fun to watch. All of this taking place live. It's historic. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be joined by Steve Hilton here to chat through. We're not going to cut away from this Trump live feed because they're really fun, but Steve has some very interesting insights on what's going on behind the scenes. Welcome, Steve Hilton, to the show. Steve, what's up, man? This is great. We're just rolling.
It's amazing. No, I love it. It's great. What a wonderful day. An amazing day. I mean, I was just in tears watching some of those reunions we've already seen. More good things to come. By the way, exactly as you were noting, no homeless zombies wandering around that location.
Yeah, what's the deal here, man? Yeah,
as you and I saw together last time we were together in LA. Look, a couple of things. First of all, that place is an amazing place, Sharm el Sheikh. I've been there for not meetings as grand as this one, but similar kinds of things. Okay. There is something as the president. He's doing amazing. What an incredible leader. It is just stunning to see this. The thing that I'm reflecting on, watching all of this unfold, is the fact that only he and his team, with their business-like attitude to this really proves the point he made all along from the very first moment he came on the scene, which is an outsider who's not steeped in the usual kind of BS of politics and diplomacy and whatever can make progress because it's about getting things done. And there's a particular part of this, a story I just want to tell you, which is, so Jared and Ivanka are good friends of mine. And I saw Jared maybe a couple of years ago, actually now, one time in his office in Florida. And I was telling him a story about a business that I started many years ago back in England called Good Business. And one of the things we got involved in was business alliances that could sort of cross borders that would lead to peace and progress. And I wrote a book about it about maybe 25 years ago now, and it came to the attention of Shimon Peres, who was then the foreign minister of Israel. And we got this amazing, I remember the days, this shows how old I am, we had a fax rattling in our fax machine in our office in London, and it had a strange kind of crest at the top, and it was from Shimon Peres. He said, I'm very interested in your ideas. I saw a newspaper report. If you're ever in Israel, we'd love to see you. Of course, what an amazing invitation. Went to Israel, met Mr. Peres, and started a real relationship there. And the reason that he reached out was that he, for decades, had believed that the key to peace in the Middle East was business partnerships between Israeli companies and Arab companies and international companies. I remember him telling me a story about a pasta company, Barilla Pasta, and they were growing wheat in the desert and making the pasta. Amazing. Anyway, I was telling Jared this story. He literally got up from the table we're at, went to his bookshelf, and got off the table a book by Shimon Peres. And he said, this was my manual for the Abraham Accords. And it was Peres's book, and it was literally marked up all the way through, post-it notes and little underlinings all the way through by Jared. He said, this is what it was all about, is finding the economic interest, and that's how you get to peace. And so when you see these articles now, there's 25 books that Jared Kushner read that helped it. Well, that was one of them. And it was just an amazing moment. And you see this, and it's the same point. It's people with a business mindset who can get things done, where all the kind of useless diplomats have failed for decades. It's incredible to see. Yes. Okay. So give me the sort of 35,000 foot perspective here, Steve, on what's happening this morning. This does seem to be one of the last festering points that was creating real frictions, obviously, in the Middle East, as President Trump has expanded the Abraham Accords, as he has traveled, obviously, to multiple Arab nations and had a beautiful and dignified and incredible audience there, and then obviously has been a major friend to Israel. I think you are witnessing the beginnings of a new era here. Is that the way that is that your assessment? And why? Because he's offered them something extraordinary, which none of these previous politicians have done from America or anywhere else. They've been bogged down in the details of, well, this agreement and the specifics. Whereas President Trump, I mean, even the things that everyone laughed at, his vision of a beautiful real estate development in Gaza. But that is a vision of hope and optimism. And no one's had that before. And so he's laying out into the region this vision of being able to live free from the medieval barbarism that's basically been the norm in so many parts of the Middle East for so long, and saying you don't have to live like this. You really don't. And you just see what's happening in Saudi Arabia and the movement there on some of these things that have just been stuck for so long, because you've got a leader there that embraces the modern world and wants to move beyond the kind of medieval approach to everything, whether that's the role of women in society, whatever it may be. And I think that energy towards progress and just normality that the president is bringing, and putting out there hope. That's actually what he's offering them, is hope that you don't have to live the way you've been living.
So it was always the Arab nations that needed to come together in order to assist in ending this war. Obviously, that's where Hamas's funding comes from in the first place. You needed to bring both sides together, obviously, right? But President Trump being able to work with the Arab nations is really the key factor that's changed everything.
Exactly.
We watched how disgraceful Joe Biden, do you remember the fist bump?
Oh my goodness!
It's so humiliating.
Pathetic. These
for
people
America.
Are pathetic. And he was the great foreign policy expert. That's what I always said about Biden. That he was such an utter mediocrity on every level. Even the thing he was supposed to be the best at, foreign policy, was a total disaster. Decades of experience in the Senate, honestly. Whereas, and again, I want to give credit to the strategy here with President Trump and his team. Do you remember how mocked he was? The very first international visit in the first Trump presidency, Saudi Arabia, first place he went, and that amazing welcome in the desert and so on. And all the kind of clever people here mocked, oh, can you believe it? He's sucking up to dictators in the desert and blah, 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 blah. This is the product of that. What you're seeing today is the product of all those years of actually having a really thoughtful strategy about how you make things happen, a totally different approach. And again, founded on finding the mutual self-interest. That's called deal making. And so it's, to me, such a glorious validation of everything about President Trump and his approach, in a clearer way than almost anything else we can see. I mean, you can add to that his line, peace through strength, repeated over and over. You got to add in there the way he's shown such resolve on, whether that's the very kind of surgical and limited Iran strike on the nuclear bunker, all of these things together. The long-term thinking, focus on business, building relationships, bringing the pariah into the fold. All of that was part of this process, and it's just so wonderful to see it come to fruition. Obviously, look, it's the beginning, and so there's a long way to go. But there's more optimism here than we've seen in, I don't know, half a century.
Yes, that's right. You bring everyone together, and everybody wins. And if you have an outsider that actually doesn't have the baggage and the weight of so much corruption, and every Clinton Foundation donor and Joe Biden and every kickback and every bag of cash and all of the subterfuge that they had on his family. I mean, you can see how this stuff never happens, how nothing ever gets done, because they're all such corrupt bastards.
Exactly.
You can see why they all have so many vested interests. And they claim that that's Trump, but actually Trump's the opposite, man. He just wants everyone to get rich.
Everyone, exactly.
Yeah, and you can't get rich when you're at war. War is actually what steals all of your wealth.
Exactly.
And gives us the worst people. Okay, so speaking of the worst people and individuals who have really nothing to offer except for corruption and irrational rage, and I'm not talking about Hamas. I'm talking about Katie Porter. So Katie Porter, and it looks like we have Trump's comments here, but it's just like a really quick top line here, Steve.
Yeah.
That's not been great in California. Really quickly, what's the state of play? Now,
So I'm just going to be very clear. It's not about one terrible interview. It's about 15 years of terrible policies. And actually, the attitude you saw from Katie Porter, they're all like that. The California Democrats, arrogant, entitled, totally resisting any kind of accountability for their monumental failures. Everything a failure in California after 15 years of one-party rule. And so I just think, she highlights the way that they all are so contemptuous of any kind of opposition, the way they speak about Trump supporters here, and I think they've got a massive reckoning coming next year. I'm very confident now, more than ever, that I'll be elected governor next year.
We love that. We can't wait to help you out with voter ID as well.
Exactly.
In California, which we are going to rock and roll.
Fantastic.
We're going to go to the president here who's speaking live. Steve, thank you so very much.
Thank you, man. Great to be with you.
Yes. All right. God bless you. Okay, here we go.
Once in a lifetime deal. Nobody's ever seen anything like what's happening today. And countries have all come together, all different countries. Some liked each other, some didn't, most didn't. And they've all come together. Every country has come together. And by the way, Iran did put out a statement, that they support this deal very wholeheartedly. So that was in itself something. But no, I think they want to, that's all I do in my life. I make deals. And they want to make a deal.
Now that the living hostages have been returned, can you please tell us what the next steps are?
Well, they're going and looking for bodies. It's a pretty gruesome task. And they know where numerous are, as you know. I guess 5 or 6 are in yet now. But they're looking for bodies. They know the areas, and they search parties out, and they're doing it in conjunction with Israel. And they're going to be finding quite a few of them.
President Trump, can you tell us when phase 2 of the negotiations will begin?
Well, it started. It started as far as we're concerned. Phase 2 has started. And, the phases are all a little bit mixed in with each other. They're going to start cleaning up. If you look at Gaza, it needs a lot of cleanup. That's why when I talked in my speech, I talked about the debris. I used the word debris. That's debris times 10. So, but they're gonna really do a job. They have a lot of power. In another room, you have some of the wealthiest nations in the world. All leaders, the big leaders are here. The emirs and the kings and everybody, and it's a very interesting group. I guess we have like 35 countries, and that's only because they were the 35 that we invited. Everybody that we invited came. So there's a lot of respect. And I think you'll see some tremendous progress, both in the Middle East. This country is doing very well. It has good leadership. It's about leadership. And it's really nice when you say, how is your crime situation? And they don't even know what you're talking about. What do you mean crime? We don't have crime. Because if he has crime, he puts it out very quickly. Some people think that's not nice, but I think it's great. Because people don't want to be mugged and smashed, and they don't want to be stupid people. They have a place that is doing very well. We're very proud of him because we knew each other from the beginning. The first time I met, it was in a hotel, and I was going to meet him, and then Hillary Clinton was following me. Remember Hillary Clinton? And he liked me so much, he never even got to see Hillary. He saw her for about 2 seconds. But he didn't really want to waste a lot of time. He knew what was going to happen. But that was the first time we met, and we had a very good chemistry together. And it continues till today. So I want to thank you all very much. I appreciate the way you covered this really momentous, I've never seen anything like it. The level of love, the level of respect for what it is. And it's peace in the Middle East, and everybody said it's not possible to do. And it's going to happen, and it is happening as before your very eyes. And that's why it's become so fascinating. Marco, do you have anything to say?
Egypt's been a phenomenal participant. I think both Steve and Jared will tell you the critical role they played, and they can tell you themselves they hosted the talks here, and they're going to play a very important role now in the follow-up, the implementation of this, which is really, it's not simply about restoring Gaza, it is about transforming the region. So we have an incredible partner, a long alliance, very capable partner here, and a tremendous collection of leaders. This is clearly, in my mind, I think in the mind of everyone in this room, probably one of the most important days for world peace in 50 years. And that's not an exaggeration.
Only 50?
Maybe 100. Certainly since the end of World War II.
Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner, I'm curious, you played such an important role in the tactical negotiations here. What will your role be going forward as a lot more has to be brought to the table here?
Oh, the minute we had inked the deal, Jared and I were already working on the implementation side of the deal. So we're dug in. We'll be here quite a bit. That's at the direction of the president. That's probably going to be one of the most important phases here. Jared is remarkable to work with. I talk about it all the time. And of course, we both love working for the president. So it's feels like a very honorable job.
Mr. President, would you like to say something with the interpreter?
Yes. اسمحوا لي في البداية أن أنا أرحب بفخامة الرئيس. وأنا سعيد وكل شرف في وجودك في شرم الشيخ مدينة السلام. اسمح لي فخامة الرئيس أن أنا اسمي واسم كل المصريين ويمكن حتى لكل محبي السلام نوجه لك التحية الأخيرة والاحترام على تحقيق هذا الإنجاز الرائع والعظيم.
Well, first of all, Your Excellency, I welcome you to Egypt. It's a great pleasure and an honor to have you with us here in the city of peace, Sharm el-Sheikh. Allow me also to extend, on behalf of all Egyptians and peace lovers around the world, salute, the appreciation, and the respect for this unprecedented and momentous accomplishment by your hands.
أنا كنت متأكد فخامة الرئيس أنك الوحيد القادر على تحقيق هذا الإنجاز والإنهاء.
I've been very confident that Your Excellency is the only one who is capable of bringing this about and bringing an end to this war.
وأنا في خلال اتصالي بفخامة الرئيس ذكرت له ذلك بدقة. قلت له فخامة الرئيس أنت وحدك القادر على تحقيق السلام في منطقتنا.
I even said that very precisely during my communication with Your Excellency, that you are the only one who is able to bring about peace and to achieve peace in this part.
بشكرك فخامة الرئيس.
I thank you, Mr. President.
ولكن عايزين نستكمل نثبت إطلاق النار ونثبت بصراحة كل الرهائن وحتى يعني للأسف الجثث المتبقية في أسرع وقت عشان تسلم إلى ذويهم في إسرائيل ثم إدخال المساعدات ونستكمل باقي المراحل.
What we need to do now is to fixate the ceasefire, make sure that it maintains and sustains, that we can deliver all of the remaining, the bodies of the deceased to the families. This is very important. To bring in more humanitarian assistance into the Strip and working very closely on following up the rest of the steps that should be taken to make this successful.
Mr. President, you did very great. Thank you.
That's very much. Thank you.
He's a good man.
Thank you.
He's a good man. We're with him all the way.
Will he be on the board of peace, sir?
I'd like to have him on the board. I'd like to. We may need an interpreter, but that's okay.
As long as the President, His Excellency,
You can't do better.
The Board of Peace, I'll be there.
We've had many leaders want to be on the board, actually. The Board of Peace, it's taken on, Steve, I'd say a life of its own. Do you want to discuss that? What's happened?
I think we have a long list of applicants to be on that board.
Everybody wants to be. That's very nice. That's better than the other way. Usually it's the other way. Nobody wants to be on the board. But it's really taken on. This whole thing has taken on a life that's very different. So it's been really a great honor. And you people have done a fantastic job, I want to tell you. We appreciate it very much.
Rusty.
Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, thank you, John.
All right. Thank you. Goodness gracious. Blowing my eardrum out. You scream so much.
I just want and look forward to Your Excellency's support and your sponsorship with us in the conference for the reconstruction.
Thank you.
100%. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Let's just see if they answer any further questions. Holy smokes, that was loud. Okay. We'll be at the White House tomorrow with Trump. I mean, could you put all that in context? We'll be at the White House tomorrow with Trump. ALX. President Trump is going to be delivering official remarks, correct? What is the run of show here? What is going to happen next? President Trump delivering a speech in Egypt to global leaders. I'm not sure what that means. They have gathered in Sharm el-Sheikh. Sharm el-Sheikh. I don't pretend to be particularly fancy. Not one of those guys who can, like, tell you every capital of the world and everything like that. And don't care. I know the capitals of the 50 states in America. That's like pretty much what I care about. I can tell you about Amory, Mississippi. But ladies and gentlemen, he's in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. World leaders will be there. This is what the shot's going to look like. Very interesting. You can see the flags of every Arab, of many Arab nations. You can see the flags of some European nations there. Will he have a bunch of European leaders there? Who knows? This is what it's going to look like. It says, peace in the Middle East. We're certainly going to catch this speech. This is going to be one heck of a speech here. Very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. You see President Trump there recruiting for the peace. What is it called, guys? The Peace Consortium. What's it called? What was Trump recruiting there for? Yeah, the Peace Council, right? Yeah. The Super Friends, Peace Council. President Trump recruiting there the president of Israel, of Egypt, in order to be on it. Very complimentary. Roasting Hillary Clinton a little bit, which was hilarious. But if you have recruitment issues, whether you're trying to staff the Peace Council or whether you're trying to hire at your small business like me, we are constantly hiring at this business. We've hired some new people at this company, which is we're very excited about. Kangmin, can you get that tweet, ALX, please? Because not everyone can recruit like this. Not everyone can recruit like this. I want to tell a fun story about this team and exactly what we were able to do. There's a talented young creator, Kangmin Lee, who got fired from his job, got canceled because of his beliefs, because he loved freedom and he loved America. He supported Charlie Kirk, and he posted that I was fired from my job again for my beliefs. And that post went viral and made me very upset. We were flying at the time to New York. But I saw it, and I was like, well, this would be a fun little project. How about we go ahead and promote Kangmin and this story? I'll respond to this post here that you can see here, did 13 million views. And I didn't know the guy. I didn't know him. I had never met him. But I said, yo, like, why don't you come work for my company? You seem like a smart guy. Responded right here under Elon Musk. I'll hire you. You were fired for your beliefs. I'll hire you for your beliefs. Want to come work for me? And he said, yo, can you hop up in the DMs? We went back and forth, had a nice little chat. Seems like a great, really sharp young man. Extremely talented. And within 24 hours, we were able to get Kangmin Lee on our team. And, well, he started this weekend, actually. Proud to announce that Kangmin Lee has now accepted a position at our growing media company. He will join Team Benny immediately, making this the single shortest cancellation in modern history, a little less than 24 hours. Kangmin will work on our editorial and creative teams at Benny Media. He's a skilled editor and a sharp digital talent, and we're very proud to have him join the team. Congratulations. Saw him joining the ranks. How well did this post do, by the way? Like, I wanted to take dark energy and turn it into good energy. Okay, it was seen by millions, 42,000 likes. Great. What you want to take the bad energy, okay, and then turn it into good energy. That's what we can do here. So that was our recruitment process, but not every recruitment process for every job has to do with a massive viral post on X. Sometimes you'll need ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is how we actually hire an enormous number of employees at this company. And we're so very proud of our small but growing team here of skilled editors and creatives and producers. Man, we are just rip roaring. We are going to have the biggest show by 2028. We want to have the biggest show by 2028 election cycle. We want to be popping. We want to be able to do it all. And I'm not sure you can, but that's the goal. And it's good to have nice, strong goals. Every man should have a good, strong goal that they're heading towards. And we're going to need good talent to do that. ZipRecruiter has provided us the capacity to find excellent talent. I think that actually Killer Klein was hired through ZipRecruiter, for instance, every single day live on the feed with us. So right now, try ZipRecruiter.com for free. You should try it. We use it for every single position, except for Kangman, which was like, we found him on X because he went viral. But whatever role that you are hiring, the best way to find the perfect match is ZipRecruiter. They help you sort through these resumes. It takes forever to look through resumes. They help you sort through with matching technology, with AI. ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find top candidates instantly and connect with them with a click of a button. ZipRecruiter will find you the best people, seasonal or otherwise. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get quality candidates within the first day. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Benny. ZipRecruiter.com/Benny, the smartest way to hire. Okay. Now, can we finally do it? Can we finally play some of the highlights from President Trump this morning? Again, President Trump will be making a speech soon to the Middle Eastern countries, and he is fresh off of his speech in the Knesset. We also have a fantastic next guest up. I'm just checking in with the producer team. Is Pastor Doug Wilson set, locked in, ready to go? Okay, thank you guys. Want to make sure that we have ample time with the pastor as well. To lead into that, though, something that has just been clobbered this morning because there's so much news. Let's just do the supercut of President Trump's commentary to the Knesset here, and then we'll pop over to Pastor Doug Wilson right afterwards. Okay, here we go. Here's a wrap up of Donald Trump letting it rip at the Knesset. The President of Peace. Here we go.
This is not only the end of a war. This is the end of an age of terror and death, and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God. It's the start of a grand concord and lasting harmony for Israel and all the nations of what will soon be a truly magnificent region. I believe that so strongly. This is the historic dawn of a new Middle East. More obvious than ever that the productive and responsible nations of this region should not be enemies or adversaries. You should be partners and eventually even friends, and that's what's going to happen. I know it. Together you can stand against the forces of chaos. Yeah, you go ahead. That's an important point. Because you can stand against the forces of chaos that threaten all of your interests, and it's always a big threat, and unleash incredible prosperity and opportunity for all the people of these lands. But when you settle 8 wars in 8 months, that means you don't like war. Everyone thought I was going to be brutal. In fact, I remember Hillary Clinton during a debate, she said, look at him, he's going to go to war with everybody. And actually, she said, he's got a personality that's all about war. No, and my personality actually is all about stopping wars, and it seems to work. It seems to work.
I'm rolling.
But it also means this name change and our attitude that we're not going to go into a war, but if we do, we're going to win that war like nobody has ever won a war before. The choice for Palestinians could not be more clear. This is their chance to turn forever from the path of terror and violence. It's been extreme, to exile the wicked forces of hate that are in their midst. And I think that's going to happen. I've met some people over the last couple of months that want to see it happen very much. And after tremendous pain and death and hardship, now is the time to concentrate on building their people up instead of trying to tear Israel down. We don't want that to happen again. And the total focus of Gazans must be on restoring the fundamentals of stability, safety, dignity, and economic development so they can finally have the better life that their children really do deserve after all these decades of horror. I intend to be a partner in this effort in the sense that we're going to help and we're going to do something that became unbelievably popular. Everybody wants to be on it. It's called the Board of Peace.
All right, the Board of Peace, ladies and gentlemen. President Trump bringing peace, President Trump knocking Hillary Clinton. Again, that was this morning as the hostages were all released. There are now no more human captives by Hamas, and the Free Palestine people, they're so damn silent. Where'd they go? Can anybody, like, where are you? Where'd you go? Where's the marches with all the orcs that have been chanting Free Palestine with their nose rings and their pink hair and their lack of deodorant showers? Like, where are you exactly? Where'd you go? Exactly. What happened to you? You'd assume that they'd be marching through the streets, holding up giant signs of Donald Trump, saying, "This is our dear leader." Like, wouldn't this be the time exactly for those people? You know, Trump just, like, freed Palestine. Isn't that what you've been asking for? Like, they're going to get the land back. Have you read the peace deal? Like, they released all the hostages. The hostages are back home, and now that they're going to get the land back and they're going to be free, right? Like, the war's over and the killing's done. Like, isn't it the thing that you guys were all for? Where are you exactly? Where are all the libs and their little kifas? Where's Greta Thunberg? Where is she? When is she going to be sailing on, like, a giant yacht with, like, Trump's name on it? Like, praising Trump. Dumping a bunch of motor oil into the ocean while she does it. To go free Gaza. Didn't Trump just do that? Amazing. I don't know. Maybe somebody who's way smarter than me, who can talk about what it looks like to be part of the religion of peace, the true religion of peace, Christianity. Pastor Doug Wilson, who is the senior minister of Christ Church, who I learned about because he did this incredible interview with CNN, where the CNN reporter, Pamela Brown, she's just, like, gasping the whole time because Pastor Doug Wilson just straight up explained Christianity to her, right? And just, like, explained what Christianity is. It's, like, amazing. And perhaps, look at its expression. When your feminism gets hit by Christianity for the first time, right? These conflicting worldviews. The point is that Christianity is the religion of freedom, liberty, peace. What President Trump is doing is actually totally and completely aligned with our Christian doctrine. I don't pretend to be an expert on that, but Pastor Doug Wilson is, and he joins our show live now. Forgive me, Pastor. I'm just such a fan of that CNN interview.
Thanks. That came out kind of nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to talk about it, but since we are talking peace in the Middle East right now, perhaps you could elucidate for us how Christianity is, in fact, the religion of peace, and freedom through the laws of God and our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and how President Trump is acting in full alignment, actually, by delivering peace today.
Yeah. There's a difference between peace as an idol and peace as the result of adherence to truth, objective truth. If you make peace an idol, then you're going to find yourself appeasing and accommodating and just trying to get people to go away, and you're trying to buy them off. And all that does is breed more conflict. It breeds more war. If you stand for what is objectively right, what objectively has to happen, and your goal is peace, then what's going to happen is something like what we see here today in the Middle East. Now, there's an important distinction to make, and I believe that this peace deal is different than others for this reason. If we zoom in, I would have preferred, when the war started, I would have preferred for Hamas simply to have been annihilated, right? I wanted Hamas out of the picture because they're not dedicated to this process at all. Mm-hmm. But if you zoom out, the reason why I think this peace deal is more promising than other peace deals is that it appears that the president has enlisted the support of numerous Arab countries in the region that will keep the heat on radical groups. So the reason we've had perpetual conflict in the Middle East is because of secret supply lines that fund groups like Hamas and Hezbollah and that sort of thing, whether it's from a country like Iran or it's from misguided philanthropic organizations in the West, in Europe, and the United States. Who kept the PLO alive for all those years? How is it possible for a terrorist organization to simply have unlimited funds? Where's that coming from? Well, if you cut the supply lines, if you say, okay, no more of that, and all the regional Arab countries are on board with a souped up Abraham Accords, right? Everybody's on board with this, then what is going to happen is the Free Palestine is not a free platform for launching rockets into Israel. Yep. Right. So the danger of, hey, we just brokered a peace and everybody agreed to stop shooting, which we would only get from Israel if the United States just pressured Israel to the nth degree. That's the only way we'd get that. Okay, they agreed to continue have rockets being fired at them. Right. That is simply doing the same thing over and over again. But if you zoom out and you say, okay, we are committed to objective truth and our goal is peace, that is promising. And the objective truth is that if Hamas laid down their arms, there would be peace. If Israel laid down their arms, there would be a destroyed Israel, right? That's the situation that it has been up to this point. So the only thing that is going to restrain groups like Hamas, keep them from growing or flourishing, is the objective strength of people who are saying no more of that. And what the president has apparently done is enlisted all the regional countries, probably Iran accepted, to keep things stable. And basically this is very promising, as can be seen by the release of the hostages.
Yeah, it's really been an interesting discovery for me as I've been working through what the scriptures actually say about the role of government and how Christians have been psyoped into thinking that it's our job to just roll over and let evil people do whatever they want. Right. And that's actually fundamentally antithetical to the scriptures and to the New Testament and to the work of Christ. And there's something horrible that's happened to the Christian church where it's just like, just get rid of any of your ability to fight, any of your ability to stand for truth, become weaklings, become limp, and become flat, like incapable of fighting back. And you look at Romans 13, Pastor, and it's like, No, actually, the government is instituted by God. God gives them the sword. The sword is there for terror of evil people. And that is the role of the government, is to protect good and to do terrorism to evil, so that evil lives in fear. And I know that I love seeing that as a point of strength. I think the Trump administration is really taking that Christian doctrine and that Christian structure of government and actually applying it. And I know that that's happening with the Secretary of War, right? Mm-hmm. I know that, and I believe that he's a member of your church.
He belongs to a church in our denomination. Yes.
Yeah. And I love seeing that applied, because that creates actually a more peaceful world. In fact, and always has in Christendom.
Yes, there's a distinct difference between on a personal level, turning a soft answer turns away wrath, as Proverbs says, or to turn the other cheek, as the Lord says. There are situations that actually call for that, but that's different than standing by when you're a magistrate, let's say, and someone under your authority is attacking someone else, right? Is it the magistrate's job to tell the victim to turn the other cheek? No, that's not his job. So in Romans 13, God gives the sword to the magistrate to reward the righteous and punish the wrongdoer. Now, and right and wrong are defined by Scripture, not by the lusts and desires of the magistrate. So, in fact, several times in that passage, the magistrate is called God's deacon, God's servant. So God's servant is appointed by God to punish the wrongdoer. So when someone is mugged or attacked or there's some violent outbreak, it's not the magistrate's job to tell the victim to turn the other cheek. Now, it may be in a personal situation, the task of a believer, when Christians were being thrown to the lions, it was not the Christians had no political power, no military power. And in times of persecution like that, it is our calling and task to simply suffer patiently and trust God for the long-range outcome. That is true. But if you are a magistrate who has the power to stop something like that, and you refuse to do it, then God's going to hold you accountable for that.
Like we shouldn't suffer terrorist networks on our borders.
No.
Right? I don't think that Israel should be forced to suffer a terrorist network that shares a border with them. And
Absolutely
right now,
not.
there's cartels in Mexico that have gladly visited terrorism upon our people in this land. We shouldn't suffer that, right? Can you talk me through, Pastor, the Christian doctrine that says we shouldn't be letting somebody out who's been arrested 30 times for violent crimes to go stab a poor woman on a bus and kill her? That's actually antithetical to Christianity. Can you talk me through that, please?
That's a photo negative of the way it ought to be. And so the way I talk you through it is in the Bible originally, you didn't have chapter and verse markings. So it was like the letter to the Romans was one long sustained epistle. If you read Romans chapter 12, there's a long stretch of it where Paul is sounding very much like the Sermon on the Mount. Bless those who persecute you. Do not reward evil for evil. Do not take vengeance, not because vengeance is wrong, but because vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. So don't take personal vengeance at the end of chapter 12, because God says, vengeance is mine. That's my job. And then you go into Romans 13. Well, how does God exercise vengeance? So if there's a horrific crime, you don't go home and get your gun and go as a vigilante and try to take care of it yourself. What you do is you leave room for God's wrath. Step aside for God's wrath, Paul says. And then in the very next verse in Romans 13, the very next passage, he says God's agent of wrath is the magistrate. God appoints the authorities as his deacons to punish the wrongdoer and reward the righteous. So consequently, the fact that man with that lunatic was able to stab that poor girl on the train was because the magistrate was derelict. The system of justice, the police force, et cetera, that was derelict. Now, I know that someone complained about the policing in that situation, and the police had a legitimate comeback. They said, "What do you mean? We arrested that guy multiple times. This is not the policing system. This is the judicial system and the elected officials that put up with that kind of monstrosity." So it was the duty of the magistrate to have that man either out of the public, so he couldn't hurt anybody, or executed, which is another way of removing him from a hazardous position. I don't know what his priors were, but basically he needed to be out of commission. He needed to be not in a position to do that. And a government that doesn't live up to its responsibilities there is a wicked government. It says in Ecclesiastes, where justice is not speedily executed upon the criminal, there the heart of man is filled to do evil. Okay, so deterrence works. The Bible requires the magistrate to function in terms of deterrence with a standard of right and wrong established by God's word and not by humanist hallucinations.
So let's talk about those humanist hallucinations versus what law and order and an actual orderly society would look like. So this is why it's so important to understand and to live out our Christian roots as a nation, is it not? Like what, we often use the John Adams quote that this entire nation was conceived just for a moral and religious people, and it is unsuitable for any other population. Obviously, you get hit constantly for being an advocate for Christian nationalism. So does our show. So did Charlie Kirk. Right. And yet, if you actually look at the foundations of this country and the only way that it properly operates and where the institutions come from, they are from the tradition of Christendom. Could you perhaps could you elucidate for us?
Correct. There are certain basic worldviews, only maybe 7 total possible worldviews among men, and they don't all generate the same ethical systems. But different religions, different worldviews value different things. Islam does not generate the same kind of ethical system that Christianity does. It does not generate the same kind of ethical system that secular materialism does, and so forth. Now, it means you should not, if that being the case, if you take hundreds of thousands and millions of people from one region of the world that taps into one of these ethical systems and drop them into the United States, where there is a different ethical system, a different tradition of law and so forth, all you're going to have is trouble. All you're going to have is societal chaos. And the fact that it appears clear to me that a bunch of this chaos is deliberate. In other words, it's being fomented in order to have a transition away from our Christian roots, away from our Christian foundation. And the process by which this happens is anarcho-tyranny, right? So anarcho-tyranny is where the lawless criminal thugs are given free rein, slaps on the wrist, turned back into the public, like functional anarchy, where the most dangerous, unstable people are allowed to operate with impunity, largely impunity. And if a law-abiding person defends himself or fights back in any way, or even criticizes what's going on, they land on him like a ton of bricks. They know how to enforce the law, right? But they've got a different law in mind. So in the UK, if you're running a Pakistani rape gang, all right, then you get a bye. But if you if you go onto Facebook and criticize Pakistani rape gangs, you might be facing 5 years in jail, right? So they come after you with a vengeance. So this is selective anarchy, selective tyranny. And the whole thing appears to me to be a very deliberate attempt to destabilize our civilization. And so consequently, our job, I believe our task as Christians, is to stand up for the West. Simply to say this, we've had the traditions that we have and the protections that we have and the rights that we have for a reason. Now, I want to be critical of our our society as well, because we've largely forgotten those reasons. We've been sort of coasting. It's like the prodigal son didn't run out of money the first weekend away from home. He took this large inheritance and he went off and spent it, but that took a while. So we have had in the West a large amount of moral capital that we inherited from the first Christendom. We had a lot of moral capital, and we have been on a binge. We've been spending it like there's no tomorrow, and we've gotten to the point where, like the prodigal son, we're staring at the pig food. We're saying, man, that looks kind of good. We don't know what's up or down anymore. We are so confused. It is we've been pitched into the void. We have a justice sitting on the Supreme Court who was asked during her confirmation hearings what a woman was. And she couldn't answer the question because she was not a biologist. But if you don't know what a woman is, you don't know what a human being is. And if you don't know what a human being is, you don't know what human rights are. And that means we have someone on the Supreme Court who has no idea of what humanity is. No idea. And you might say, well, she has an idea according to the secular assumption. Humanity is an amorphous blob like Mr. Potato Head that you can stick different parts on and come up with your own invention. But that's not what humanity is, because God says in Genesis that God created us in his image, male and female created he them. Right? That's what a human being is. We bear the image of God, and we've known this for thousands of years. But those who want to reject that in favor of secular atheism want to deny the image of God in man. And that's what they're trying to deface the image of God in man. They're trying to scratch it out. They're trying to erase it. Another illustration I use is, let's say there's a king in a castle, a just and holy and righteous king. He lives in a castle and he's got a strong army, but the villagers down in the valley hate him. Well, they can't attack him. They can't overthrow his castle up there in heaven. But they're down in the valley and they don't like him and they hate him. What can they do? Well, they can make an image of him and they can burn the image in effigy. And that's what this whole sexual revolution has been, an attempt to scratch out, deface, burn the image of God in man. Because we can't get at him. We can't attack heaven, but we can attack his image. We can burn him in effigy.
And so it must be wholesale rejected. And it feels like, Pastor, there's been good work that's been done. What is your assessment of the state of America right now? I would say post Charlie Kirk's assassination, we've seen some of God's wonders. I believe we also saw some of God's wonders with President Trump surviving an assassin's bullet. But it seems like we are sort of on a razor's edge where things could go really right or things could go really wrong.
That is correct. If you try to remember the way we were feeling just this time last year, just go back 1 year. The election had not yet happened. We were sort of on pins and needles. Are they going to cheat again? Are they going to pull something out of their hat again? What's going to happen? And you look at where we were then, and you look at where we are now. God has been supremely kind to us. That doesn't mean that it's all over. It doesn't mean that we don't have work to do. We have a lot of work to do. But we are in a far, far better position than we were this time last year. And that includes God sparing the president's life at Butler. And it includes God calling Charlie home the way he did. Because one of the things about that assassination, that grotesque murder, is that it took the mask off. Right? Everybody could see in stark relief what we are up against. And that's why it is so, just as an aside, it is dismaying to see conspiracy theories cropping up about that assassination. As I just wrote in my blog post this morning, it's as though Pearl Harbor happened and the whole country rallies ready to go to war with Japan. And somebody, an influencer, suggests that maybe Canada did it. How hard would it be to paint a big red dot on Canadian airplanes and attack Pearl Harbor? Well, there's no way to interpret that other than to say you're muddy at the very best interpretation. You're muddying the waters. America saw how demented and hate-filled the left is. Right? They don't disavow violence because violence is at the heart of their system. And that's why, going back to your earlier question, Christian faith is peaceful. Christ is the Prince of Peace. Now, that means that when conflict happens, because it's sometimes necessary for it to happen, the goal of the conflict is peace, right? The goal of leftist violence is to vent the hatred. And this is why you saw in Virginia, in the debate between Winsome Sears and her opponent, can you just denounce this murderous thinking that was expressed by this fellow running for AG? And no, silence. They can't disavow hate-fueled, hate-filled violence because that's the gasoline they run on.
I mean, at what point then do we have a broken society? Because you can't unite. It is immoral to unite with evil, of course. You can't make peace with people who want you dead, Pastor.
Right.
So then what are we left with as Christians in this nation?
Okay, so my dad wrote a book called Principles of War, and not Methods of War, but he was applying principles of warfare to evangelism and spiritual conflict. And principles of war would be things like mobility, surprise, objective, concentration, and so forth. One of the principles is communication, which includes supply lines. When Napoleon invaded Russia, he overextended his supply lines, and that's why he had that ignominious retreat. One of the fundamental things that's going on here is we have to realize as conservatives that we've been funding our own efforts, and we've also been funding the efforts of the other team. We are the supply corps for both sides of our conflict, as was revealed by the USAID controversy in the early Doge days of the Trump administration. So what we need to do, and this is what I think the president has done in the Middle East, is cutting supply lines. If you cut the support that Hamas has, a lot of this dries up and goes away. If the Antifa types have no supplies coming from the outside, no Soros money, no surreptitious dropping off the pallets of bricks before the riot, none of that stuff. If you don't pay your astroturfing protesters, if you don't pay them, what kind of turnout are you going to get? So basically, I think that we are going to be in a position, if over the next year or two, a diligent effort is made to cut the supply lines, we're going to see how robust their support actually is. A lot of this has to do with the blinkered complacence of conservatives who've just taken at face value the image that the left has projected of itself, and that has been funded from outside. So I think that our big goal should be to think funding. Who's paying for this?
I want to ask a final question here, because you're so right. Christians often, through total complacency or through shame, psyops, through cultural pressure, major pastors refuse to talk about good versus evil. Major pastors can't talk about issues like gay marriage or abortion. It's not that they can't; they just refuse. Right? They refuse to talk about God made them male and female. They refuse to talk about the first verse of Genesis. The first command of God to man is go be fruitful and multiply.
Right.
This is the first command. The first command wasn't the 10 Commandments. It was that, right? Yeah. I'm going to make men and women, and then go be fruitful and multiply. Bring the earth under dominion. Right?
Go make babies.
Yes, go make babies. Exactly.
Right.
And so it is. Why have Christians become so weak? How can we reform? I believe that we could really reform the nation through the pulpit, quite frankly. We still live in a majority Christian nation, not by a little, but by a lot. And I think that there's still hope in pastors reconnecting with actual Christianity and that revival spirit that I think everyone still feels. There's still like sort of this kinetic energy out there. How do we turn the cowards of Christianity around into really speaking truth once again from the scriptures?
Yeah. So over the course of my lifetime at least, the Overton window, the window that defines acceptable discourse in any society, has gradually been sliding left gradually. So, for example, I'm considered a hater because my view of marriage, one man, one woman, and that's it, right? That's the biblical definition of marriage, because my definition of marriage is identical to the position that Obama took and Hillary took in their runs for president, right?
In 2008, yeah. So you're talking less than about a decade ago, yeah.
Right. So and everybody, the reason they got a pass on that is because everybody knew they were lying, right? But the window has steadily moved left, right? And so consequently, the most radical extreme right-wingers are moderates who never moved, okay? And that's what's happened. Now, the events of the last 5 years, COVID, the lockdowns, vaccine mandates, every major institution in American public life disgracing itself, blue state governors, it's just total chaos. Everything's up in the air. And then culminating in events which is reflected in the reelection of Donald Trump and in the convulsive activity that includes things like the assassination of Charlie Kirk. As a result of the last 5 years, the Overton window is farther to the right than it's ever been in my lifetime. And that means we have an opportunity to talk. The Overton window simply allows you to talk, right? What can you say without getting hooted off the stage, right? And those Christian pastors and theologians and writers who know what the truth is, as the saying goes, who know what time it is, should use this opportunity to speak up, because there are a lot of people who have been their instincts are good, but they're not educated, they're not equipped, and they need to hear truth, which will hit them like a bracing mountain air.
There's such a starvation for truth right now. There's such a starvation, and I know that you've seen this in the explosive growth of your church, right? I mean, you now have just this massive growth in the Christ Church. What is it? 1,000 different? Is it 1,000 different?
Well, no, it's not many churches. There's about 170 total works that we have, but in Moscow here, we have basically doubled in size.
Moscow, Idaho.
Yeah,
just
Moscow.
We have, trust me, we have very special people that watch the show every day. Just want to confirm we're in Moscow, Idaho.
Moscow, Idaho.
Yeah.
Now, a generation ago, it was a very blue dot, meaning that there were probably more than a few sympathizers with the other Moscow here. But as the growth of the church here has gradually been turning this town purple in the opposite direction, going from blue to red. And there are thousands of us here, about 10% of the population. And a lot of this simply has to do with normal people waking up. I believe that the shine has gone off of progressive leftism. I believe that for anybody who's got a normal, stable life and something to defend, a home, a job, a vocation, we need to articulate what it's going to take to defend that sort of thing.
Yes. I just find this with young people all the time, Pastor. I'm telling you, we were at a tailgate. We did a Turning Point event at a tailgate 2 weeks ago. And there's thousands of young men lined up, and they were all in frats. And like, they should have been chasing skirt and running after the cheerleaders and doing keg stands. They were there to talk about Jesus Christ at 8 a.m. in a parking lot,
right?
In front of the Penn State Beaver Stadium. This holds like 100,000 people, and that's what that's what those young frat boys were there to talk about,
right? And
that's wild and awesome, actually.
That was the Charlie insight. Charlie saw that a lost generation, ultimately, at the bottom line, doesn't like being lost. Right? Living when you're 21 years old, nihilism for most people is for the birds. You just don't want it. And so the established big Eva approach of moderate, let's try to be winsome, let's never argue a specific point of view, all that did was feed the nihilism, feed the hopelessness. And Charlie understood that young people need answers. And so Chesterton once said, the purpose of an open mind is the same as the purpose of an open mouth. It's meant to close on something. All right. So what Charlie did was he argued for a specific point of view. He assumed the reality of objective truth, and he discovered this vast, untapped reservoir of genuine seekers who want to know the truth. They want their lives to mean something. They want to be more than a bit of protoplasm, right? And yet the received wisdom of our age reduces people to just that: meat, bones, and protoplasm. All you are is a moist robot.
Yeah, and your life doesn't matter, and it's all by accident, and that's and there's nothing left for you at the end of it. So you might as well be on the yacht in Ibiza with as much crypto as possible and have no relationships and nothing and die alone, right? And that's the promise. And it's like it's being rejected, Pastor, by the people who, like some of the, like Dan Bilzerian, some of the biggest influencers that live that life are now like coming to their senses and doing interviews. Like, that was all a lie, actually. Materialism was all a lie.
Yeah.
And now I'm scared of dying alone because now I'm 55. And it's not true, by the way. It's like not true. The richest man on earth, arguably probably the richest man to ever exist, Elon Musk, all he wants is children. All he wants is people to have more children. Right. That's the point of life. The guy could have anything, including potentially the first house on Mars. And the actual purpose of his being is like, we should have more babies. Like, you should become a father. You should become a mother. Like, take it from the guy that has literally everything, including space travel.
Right. And then when you inculcate this sort of sanctified or prissied up nihilism, and you foist it on a young generation, some of them will go all in, and they'll open fire in the school cafeteria, right? Yeah. And we say, oh, what happened? What went wrong? Nothing went wrong. They followed your argument. Others of them are dissatisfied with that, and they are hungry, and they turn out to your event at Penn State. So what you have is people are dividing up. And I think of the great quote from The Abolition of Man by C.S. Lewis. He said, we laugh at honor and are shocked to find traitors in our midst. We castrate and bid the geldings to be fruitful. We remove the organ and demand the function. You cannot cut down all the apple trees and then wonder where the apple pie went, right? You just simply can't do that. Yes. And so consequently, the task before us right now to these hungry young people is to preach the gospel. Christ died, he was buried, he rose again from the dead, he ascended into heaven, and he cares how we're living our lives now.
Yes. And God created you with a purpose. God doesn't need you. He created you for a reason. Like, God doesn't need a Benny. He doesn't need a Doug Wilson. He didn't need a Charlie Kirk. He created a Charlie Kirk and a Donald Trump for a specific purpose. Your life has a purpose. Your pursuit of that purpose gives you meaning. And foundationally, if you do it through Christ's plan, getting married, having children, having meaning in life, bringing more souls into existence, then you reconnect with what God actually has planned for you, which is that you are a spiritual being far more than a physical being. And
absolutely right. All human meaning, all human value requires a transcendental grounding.
Yes.
Meaning comes from outside the world.
Yes. Man, Pastor, I was very nihilist, and it just is what it is. And I got married, and it was great, and then I had my first kid, You know, like you welcome your first child to the world, and it is like literal, and the angels sing, and it's just for you, by the way. It's just a miracle for you. It's like a specific miracle just for you as a father.
Yeah.
And you hold that baby for the first time, and you just there's no way to describe it. The washes of emotion overcome you, no matter who you are. Like the strongest, meanest men on earth, like are reduced to blubbering tears when they hold their firstborn, newborn child, or any child, any of their children. It's happened to every single child of mine. I have 4 kids, and it's like I would never have that experience. That came so much closer to God, actually, having that experience. And then every day I come home to those little babies, and it gives me so much purpose in life, and so much connectivity.
There's a great anti-communist classic book, a great conservative book called Witness by Whittaker Chambers, who was a Soviet spy. And he worked with Alger Hiss. And that's how Richard Nixon first made his name, going after Alger Hiss. Well, in Chambers' book, Witness, he was a communist, atheist, all in. And his conversion began with staring at his young daughter's ear.
Yeah.
So he was, where did this come from? All of a sudden, life is not what I thought it was.
Right. and men need to see that, and men need that. And so, that's why in our own poor capacity, we understand like that is the missing gap, and that Charlie really did get that. And so, it's exciting. It's an exciting moment to be a Christian. It's an exciting moment to be locked in as a country and in the faith. And I think that we're going to see God's wonders here. And we're already seeing them.
Absolutely.
So it'll be something fun to fight alongside you with, Pastor Doug Wilson here. You can, here's his website. You can also follow the pastor on X. Do you have an X? No? Did my producers miss that? Do you? Okay.
No,
Did my producers miss that? All right, boys, find Pastor Doug Wilson's X account, please. Here's his website, though. The blog and Mab blog. All right.
Yeah.
Sweet. And you can follow Pastor Doug Wilson. He's the senior minister of Christ Church, famously attended by our Secretary of War, and the pastor is also the leading trigger for all CNN anchors. I cannot encourage you enough to go watch his interview with CNN, which is great. Thank you very much, Pastor.
Thank
it's been
you.
an honor.
Yeah, I appreciate the invitation.
All right. God bless you. We're too late, ALX. A very, very rare miss for ALX. Get that X account up. Get that X account up. I want to make sure that we make sure that people can follow him on X. Let's go. I was just sent. President Trump is, there it is, Pastor Doug Wilson, right there. Moscow, Idaho. Okay, Moscow, Idaho. All right, get it? Got that? Media Matters? Moscow, Idaho. Whatever. Okay, great. Well, ladies and gentlemen, President Trump is right now taking photos in a photo line with world leaders. He had some funny photos with Emmanuel Macron. He completely bodied Macron. It was really funny. And now it looks like perhaps Trump will be taking like a large group photo, maybe. Here he is in front of this massive banner of peace. Look at this. Here comes all the leaders. All the leaders will now come in and stand with President Trump. We caught it just in time. Look at that. Perfect. There's going to be a couple dozen Arab leaders there, European leaders represented. I know that we've seen Emmanuel Macron, the French leader. There we go. Okay. Here we go. This is Donald Trump right in the center, and you can see everybody gathering around. We don't have a list of all the nations, an authoritative list of all the nations represented, but I can see Giorgia Meloni there from Italy. Obviously, France represented. Kind of a long. There's the Jordanian leader. Yep. All right. Here we go. The full list. Goodness gracious. We have the leaders of Egypt, Turkey, Qatar, Jordan, Kuwait, Bahrain, Palestinian president, Indonesian, Azerbaijan, French president, German chancellor, British prime minister, goodness, Italian prime minister, Spanish prime minister, holy smokes, Greek prime minister, Armenian prime minister, Hungarian, Viktor Orban, he's a total G, Pakistani prime minister, Canadian, Norwegian, Iraqi, UAE, United Arab Emirates, Oman, Indian, external affairs minister, Japan's ambassador to Egypt, and goodness, and some other people, UN Secretary General, European Council President, and Arab League Secretary. Holy smokes. That is the full list there. Gracious goodness. There's Donald Trump. Can we hear anything? Can we hear Trump?
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. There he goes. Trump is rolling. With all the world leaders. I don't know how he does it.
Daniel, happy Thanksgiving.
Just such a happy Thanksgiving. Okay. Cool, I guess. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Very interesting timing. ALX is trying to sort out when does Trump give his speech? Because we do have a busy day here, and we're going to, guys, I'm just going to have to get locked in as to where do we want to go from here. Okay, so as my producer team checks in with their caffeine, let me tell you about my caffeine. Obviously, our blackout coffee. Here we go. In the unfortunately empty cup, as I have plowed through an entire pot of coffee this morning. Again, I'm fighting a little bug here, so I just want to, caffeine is wildly important in those moments. When you have like little kids, they're licking every doorknob. They're licking the welcome mat at Walmart. They are vectors for every virus or every bacteria in the world. It just is what it is. I love my children so much. We just talked about with the pastor about how precious and angelic my children are. But that's just the nature of the kids. And they bring home something, and then you get it, and you're like, I gotta have my caffeine. You're like dragging in the morning. I gotta have my caffeine. Ladies and gentlemen, blackout coffee is my caffeine for days like today. Now, I don't know if Trump drinks coffee. I know he drinks a lot of caffeine in the form of soft drinks. But my caffeine does not come from coffee. My caffeine comes from the black roasted bean of Blackout Coffee's all-American team that roasts in-house, packages in-house, ships in-house in their beautiful facility right here in the state of Florida. It is such damn good coffee because it's made by patriots. Here, it's small batch, and it is the best coffee out there. I drink it every single morning. Especially on mornings like today where, boy, howdy, we're just trying to make it through, right? Yeah, you know those days. If you believe in hard work, American values, and coffee that actually tastes like coffee, go to blackoutcoffee.com/Benny and use the code Benny for 20% off your first order. Support the American dream and drink Blackout. Blackoutcoffee.com, real coffee. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, the production team is trying to figure out what the Thanksgiving thing. Happy Thanksgiving. Is it Canadian Thanksgiving? That's what everyone's saying. We don't know. President Trump is supposed to make a speech here in Egypt. I'd hate to miss it, but I don't know if it's going to be another 3 hours. So I'm like begging the team to maybe figure that out. I don't know. I'm not sure. We have more fun stuff to talk about. Obviously, there was a little bit of a flame war that went on ABC News, one of our favorite little targets. ABC, what a disaster of a network. Disney-owned ABC News cut off J.D. Vance because they got all pissy that J.D. Vance was making a great point on their program. And so they cut to a commercial break. ABC News was trying to push a new hoax, and JD wasn't having any of it. It is definitely the clip of the weekend. This went insanely viral. ABC News is publicly funded, right? They get all these lavish goodies from the taxpayer. You'd think they'd show a little respect. Check this out. This clip really pissed me off.
Here's, George, why fewer and fewer people watch your program and why you're losing credibility. Because you're talking for now 5 minutes with the Vice President of the United States about this story regarding Tom Homan, a story that I've read about, but I don't even know the video that you're talking about. Meanwhile, low-income women can't get food because the Democrats and Chuck Schumer have shut down the government. Right now, we're trying to figure out how to pay our troops because Chuck Schumer has shut down the government. You are focused on a bogus story. You're insinuating criminal wrongdoing against a guy who has done nothing wrong instead of focusing on the fact that our country is struggling because our government's shut down. Let's talk about the real issues, George. I think the American people would benefit much more from that than from you going down some weird left-wing rabbit hole where the facts clearly show that Tom Homan didn't engage in any criminal wrongdoing.
It's not a weird left-wing rabbit hole. I didn't insinuate anything. I asked you whether Tom Homan accepted $50,000, as was heard on an audio tape recorded by the FBI in September 2024, and you did not answer the question. Thank you for your time this morning.
No, George, I said that I don't.
Up next, we'll be right back.
What a little girl. George Stephanopoulos is little, by the way. How tall is George Stephanopoulos? And by the way, ALX, that clip didn't include Stephanopoulos' question. We have to have the Stephanopoulos' question, right? To sort of like show the answer, right? So let's make sure that we get the actual question in there. How tall is George Stephanopoulos? He's 5'5". My wife is taller than him. Yikes. Yeah, now the production chat's sounding off. Klein's girlfriend's taller than him. Boy. Yeah, he is a teeny little man. George Stephanopoulos. Oh boy, that is embarrassing. Yikes. Look at that. George Stephanopoulos is and was Bill Clinton's actual hatchet man. What do I mean by that? He was the press secretary for Bill Clinton. Oh, that's a good one. Leave that one up. That's perfect. So let's do just a real quick breakdown of George Slopanopoulos, as President Trump calls him. This guy was the hatchet man for Bill Clinton. He was the press secretary for Bill Clinton. He did operations for Bill Clinton. Like press operate, like he was the guy, the cleanup guy that they called in at the White House in order to attack the press, in order to bully and badger, and to get Clinton's agenda, right, voiced in the media. This guy is a total and complete bagman for the Democrat Party. That's what he did. That's how he made his bones. He has been hired, not by MSNBC, which I don't even have a problem with MSNBC hiring Jen Psaki. Kayleigh McEnany, we were on her show this weekend. Kayleigh McEnany was hired by Fox News. Okay, is what it is. All right? I don't have a problem with people getting jobs in media. It's that they are trying to say that George Stephanopoulos is totally and completely nonpartisan, independent, and not biased in any way, which is an absurdity given his background. Of course, Kayleigh McEnany, who worked for Donald Trump, is going to have some allegiance to Donald Trump. I mean, she freaking worked for him as the press secretary. Love Kayleigh McEnany. But like the fact that they trot out George Stephanopoulos as this like impartial juror of newsworthiness, it leads to a lot of problems for ABC. Like, for instance, how ABC News had to pay $15 million. Do we have that article? ABC News had to pay $15 million to Donald Trump to fund Donald Trump's presidential library because George Stephanopoulos told lies about Donald Trump, said he was a rapist. Donald Trump, of course, was never convicted of rape. This is what they've done. So it's very costly to have frauds like this in your newsroom. And it's obviously like antithetical to human nature. You know, the guy worked for Bill Clinton. So it's embarrassing. He did the exact same thing, by the way, in 2024. He cut off J.D. Vance. And it's a total, you know, look, again, he's just a fraud. And he's just a Democrat partisan hack. Here we go.
By legitimate Supreme Court rulings, doesn't it?
The Constitution says that the Supreme Court can make rulings, but if the Supreme Court, and look, I hope that they would not do this, but if the Supreme Court said the President of the United States can't fire a general, that would be an illegitimate ruling, and the President has to have Article 2 prerogative under the Constitution to actually run the military as he sees fit. This is just basic constitutional legitimacy. You're talking about a hypothetical where the Supreme Court tries to run the military. I don't think that's going to happen, George, but of course, if it did, the President would have to respond to it. There are multiple examples throughout American history of the President doing just that.
You didn't say military in your answer, and you've made it very clear you believe the president can defy the Supreme Court. Senator, thanks for your time this morning.
No, George.
Roundtable's up next. We'll be right back.
What a scumbag. Pull ABC News' broadcast license. Let them go hack it out. Like, pull their broadcast license. Let them go fight it out with MSNBC. Like, let it, like, again, you have to understand, and we've done so much research on this. This is how we know all the pressure points, right? When Jimmy Kimmel does stuff like this, is why we're so effective at getting Jimmy Kimmel ripped off air, and it was really fun. I'll look back fondly on that for a long time. We know the pressure points. The pressure point is that ABC News has a FCC broadcast license. This is a federally granted broadcast license that gives ABC News free use of American infrastructure provided by the U.S. government in order to broadcast news in the public interest. Does those two clips seem like the public interest to you? Cutting off the vice president? Insulting him? Cutting his mic? No, I mean, it's propaganda. They're paying for it, obviously, but we shouldn't have to pay for it as taxpayers. They should rip the licenses away from these organizations. ABC News, NBC News. Like, either be fair and broadcast in the public interest, which is in your charter, or we as Americans need to stop funding it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my team is telling me that there is just no that it might be hours before we get to the actual President Trump speech, unfortunately, and so we don't know exactly what's going on next. They're 4 or 5 hours behind schedule, so we're not sure what happens next. But we're going to obviously not be able to carry on for the next 2 or 3 hours. We got last pool update. There's like no pool update. We're flying totally blind. We'd love to carry Trump's speech, but we have a slammed day today. And so, yeah, unfortunately, we're just not going to be able to make it to the speech. We'll clearly, if something big happens, we'll do a update on it. Maybe take it live. Maybe just do a read on it. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end, I guess, on a good note. President Trump, obviously the president of peace. Somebody who will not be bringing peace is someone who wants to liberate all criminals from New York. A guy named Zorhan Mandami, who's caught in a little bit of a scandal here. Apparently, he took thousands of dollars in illegal foreign donations, $13,000. This is, of course, a big no-no, very naughty. The New York Post has learned that one of the donations were from his mother-in-law. Thousands of dollars, hundreds and thousands of dollars. Obviously, this guy has really creepy connections globally. A true Manchurian candidate here. At least 170 of the nearly 54,000 contributions of the leading Democrat candidate's campaign came from donors with addresses outside of the United States. According to the New York City Campaign Finance Board, only U.S. citizens or permanent legal residents are allowed to contribute. This would be a big violation of, federal law, state law, It's very problematic, not just for Zohar Mandami, but anybody with these kind of PACs, because it's a license to illegally funnel money. And foreign countries know that you don't have to go to war against America. All you got to do is manipulate the election. That's exactly right. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if there's a full-scale investigation. President Trump told me that he wants to put Mandami in jail. So there you go. Because you'd be in jail. So happy to get that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're logging off today and getting back to work with our verse of the day. Here we go, Ephesians 4:3. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. A beautiful message for today. The bond of peace. That is what President Trump is doing in the Middle East today, and it's our honor to cover it. We're happy that the wars are winding down or over. President Trump saying the war is over. And, well, quite frankly, this is exactly what you should do. If you are a Christian, you should end wars, and you should do it through strength. That is what we're going to be practicing this week. We'll have Eric Trump on the show tomorrow, along with Senator Kennedy. We'll be doing a show live from D.C. We'll be at D.C. with our show, and then we'll be at the White House, and then we'll be on Jesse Waters' show tomorrow night. And so please say a prayer for us as we will be rocking and rolling once again. Wishing to honor Charlie at his Medal of Freedom ceremony at the White House. So join us tomorrow. May God bless you. This is the greatest country on earth. And in the end, we win. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
TV screen, stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny shows the storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salt in all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to life. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.